I hope I'm recording. So today it's going to be slightly different, and I'm going to be running this live on my YouTube channel, just trying to test things out. This is my EOS R6 C-Log 3 challenge. So I'm kind of like testing things out. So everything I shoot from beginning to end of this video, I am going to be shooting in C-Log 3. That full disclosure, I am actually live right now as of the time of this live streaming. That doesn't mean that I am live with the video. What I did was that I pre-recorded this video and I am streaming it live. This is not to scam you into believing that I am streaming live. Doing live streaming can be very daunting, so I figured the best way to test the waters and see if this is something I want to do in the long term is to fake streaming live. But that's not to say that you cannot reach me live if you want to reach me. You know, as of the time of this live streaming, you can type in the comments and you can actually reach me and I will respond immediately, you know. So I have my camera set to ISO 100 because it's pretty bright outside. I'm running this video at 24 frames per second. I'm using the nifty 50mm lens. I set the aperture at 8.5. One of the things I noticed about the C-Log 3 is that I realized the difference between the C-Log 3 and the first C-Log in the EOS R6 is really not much. I'm just now testing it and see what result I get from it. So the next thing right now is to go to Adobe Premiere Pro and I will start color grading. It's a very exciting time. I enjoyed every bit of it. But something funny happened to me today. I walked around believing that today was Saturday. You see that particular spot where I did the shoot? It's usually very busy on the normal day, you know, but on a Sunday, it's quiet. That should have been a clue that today is not Saturday, but Sunday. Let's get this whole thing started and I'll load it up in Premiere Pro. So here I am inside the wonderful world of Adobe Premiere Pro. I did a bunch of shots, so I have loaded this one. So I'm just going to flow with things just the way I normally would work, you know, when I am by myself. I hope this whole thing makes sense at the end of the day. So let's get started. So I will stay right here and start color grading this particular footage. So basically the first thing I do is I come here, I just open up my tools, the ones that I like to use to actually take care of my footage and make sure that the white balance is right, the colors are just generally like right. And then I'm also going to check the exposure and be sure that I have the exposure nailed. So as you can see this waveform right here, I can tell that I think, in my opinion, that this is properly exposed. You know, I am just now starting to understand how this C-Log works. However, there's something I noticed about the C-Log 3. I noticed that it can be very grainy. I don't know if something is wrong with my exposure. If you know some about the C-Log 3, please hit me up in the comments and let's chat about it. You know, maybe there is something wrong with my settings and how I expose it, but I just realized that it has a lot of grain in it. Let's talk about it. So basically, I'll come here first. I'll come here to the Lumetri color panel here, my basic correction. I'll click on this eyedropper tool. This is usually my routine when I do this. So I am wearing a gray shirt. Usually I have a gray card that I use, this one that I use, but when I don't use it or when I forget, I just look for something gray or something white in the image and then click on it, just to be double sure that I got my white balance correctly. Now, how I get to do that is I am not going to take this for the correction. I'm just going to do this. I'm going to go into this place. I right click and I go to Parade RGB. It will bring out this thing here. And then I come to Effect Controls and then I click on this pen icon, you know, right above the opacity right there. I will draw a small mask on the gray shirt just to isolate that gray portion of this image. I am in sync with my white balance here. So as you can see, there are 3 dots. I hope you can see these dots. There are 3 dots up here, red, green, and blue. So what I do is I take the eyedropper tool and then click on my gray, and that should place all the 3 colors on a straight line, you know, just balancing it out. I hope that really takes care of it. So I come back to my effects control panel here and I click on delete on that mask and to bring back my image. So now I will begin to actually now correct this image. And then sometimes another thing again I do is I will control Z here to undo the thing I just did. So another thing I do sometimes is I come to curves. First and foremost, let me shut the parade RGB. I just try as much as possible to check my exposure first. On the waveform here, the bottom part represents the shadow. If I take this thing here and drag it all the way, it's crushing the shadows right here, and I don't want that. So up here represents the highlight. If I come up here and drag my stuff all the way, you can see it's blown out in the highlight. So I don't want that. So this tool is just going to guide me to bring everything to a balanced level so that I achieve a very nice looking image. So I'll start pulling from here gradually to bring out the shadows. I'll pull gradually. So once that is done, I think I'm good for now. And then I come up on the highlight here and I pull so that begins to affect my highlight as I pull. Usually I stay in between 80 and 90 so that I can retain details as much as I possibly can, right? And then I come down here and pull again at the bottom here. So as you can already see, this image is coming out, but we're not done yet. I'm not done yet. I'll still do more. So this is the point I would go to basic correction. I also do this sometimes. Once I know that I have gotten out my image, then I will do the white balance or cross-check the white balance and be sure that my white balance is intact. So I come down here I right click on here, and I bring out my parade RGB. Come to effects controls. So let's do it again. So I click on the pen tool and then draw a mask on my shirt here. You can also isolate anything that is white. I usually do between gray and white. I click on the eyedropper tool and then that should align our stuff here on a straight line, you know, if you can see that. So here are the straight lines. Here are the colors on the straight line. So basically this is how I would do it sometimes, you know. Let's go back to effects. I hit the delete button to take the mask out. So basically that is the start of everything that I'm doing. Now after this, I will now start to separate all the colors, you know, and make sure that all my colors are well separated. How I begin to achieve that is I come to the basic tab here. I will still keep my waveform open here. Let me shut the parade RGB so that I can see my waveform. So basically I come here and I pull a little bit on contrast. Sometimes I come here, I pull on saturation. Maybe I leave it at 104, just to give it a little bit of contrast, you know. And then I come to highlight. I pull on highlight. I don't do it too much. And then I come to my blacks here. I pull on blacks a little. So as you can see the highlight over here, the skies, I still have a bit of details in the sky. My highlight is not blown out at all. So I think I like that. I think I'll pretty much leave that there. I have a lot that I have saved for this I want to use. I have not used LUT profile in a very long time, you know. but there's one LUT that I got from another YouTuber. I want to try it out. I will pretty much go to the LUT by coming to creative right here. In case you don't know, LUT is just a color profile used to stylize any footage, a preset, but it's not the end of it all, because I will hate to just slap a color LUT on it and then move on to the next thing. That's not the way I want to do it. So basically I will do the basic color correction and give it a more stylized look. So let me just see how this whole thing pans out, you know, how it looks at the end of the day. So I click on here and then click on browse, where I can go look for the LUT. The LUT is right here in my computer. I'll just simply apply it. So as you can see, this is what the LUT has done to the image. Now, right out of the gate, the LUT already looks good. Now I will now start tweaking it gradually to my taste. This is not the end of it all yet. So I will now begin to adjust all the colors to achieve a very good looking image. So I will just begin to affect this color somehow. As I'm keeping my eyes on my waveform right here, I'm going to start to check on my highlights and my shadows and make sure that nothing gets out of hand, you know. So I'll come to the basic tab here, and then I would probably need to reduce the highlight. I don't like to use contrast so much because I hate that crunchy look. Bring down the highlights again. I mean the contrast. I like soft look. Usually for me, contrast make it very harsh, and rather the colors start to really look crunchy, and I don't like that look. It's a matter of preference really. Another person could like it or would like it. I bring down highlight again, maybe a little bit of shadow. Yeah. Okay, so at this point I pretty much like to go to HSL. So now on HSL, this is where I do all the separation of the colors and everything. Now where I want to focus on is these pillars here, these metal pillars. I want to be able to affect the colors a little bit, you know, and give it a bit of depth, give it some shadow, or reduce the brightness a little bit without affecting the skin. So I'll just take the tool here and highlight. Now I really don't want the gray to be selected. Yeah, I think I'm pretty much fine with that selection. Now I have practiced with this a lot, you know, because sometimes achieving this can be pretty difficult, you know. If you get it right in camera, there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to select it quite neatly. It took me a while. I had to practice over and over again to actually achieve this easily. I think I'm pretty happy with that. Let me see if I can get some out of the way here. Okay, I come here and I give it the noise of about 34, and then I give this color some 13. So that will even out, that will give the colors smooth transitions. I will now begin to add a little bit. I want a little bit more of that teal, then darken it a little bit more. So I really don't like the way my shirt has sucked in some of the blues, so I might want to do something about that. So once I have done that, I want to check my skin tone. I'm a man, I'm rugged. So basically, let's see if we can now begin to affect the face. I really am liking the way this whole thing is looking. The face, I want to do something about So how I achieve that is I'll come here. I want to check that my skin tone is correct. Or before I do that, I want to add another layer of volumetric color so that I can work on what I see here, maybe the face. I come to this, I click on that. And this time around, I'm going for the skin. I'm just going to select the skin only. I really don't want my hair selected, so I'm going to make an attempt to take out my hair from this selection. I hope I am successful with that. I really don't mind if it selects the grain, but I need to get rid of that hair from the selection. I mean, I'm really having fun with this thing. It is enjoyable to be doing this. This has become the favorite aspect of editing in Premiere Pro. I truly am having fun with this thing. I'd rather do this in DaVinci Resolve, but I have the free version of DaVinci Resolve. DaVinci Resolve would not take this footage, so I had to do it here in Premiere Pro. So I think I am satisfied with what I have gotten so far. So basically what I'm going to do now is to take out this, and then as usual I come to the noise right here and I enter my value 34 and 13. So once I do that, I come to here and I take that off. I want to see what I'm doing very well. So I give it a little bit of push to the red axis or maybe to the orange axis, just so I even out my color right there. So once I achieve that, because I somewhat was back in the sun, not back in the sun, the sun was on my side, and so my face was a little bit dark. So I'm trying to see if I can push some light into my face to bring it out. So I'll just push on this. This knob here will actually help me control the exposure, I guess. So as you can see, it's looking a little bit brighter. Let's see before and after. As you can see, it looks a lot better. So another thing I would like to do now is to look at this shirt and see if I can separate that and give it and desaturate it, because I don't like the fact that it has a bit of blue tint on it. Gray should remain gray, in my opinion. I hope that is correct. I would see if I can separate that from all other colors. Let's qualify it too. I mean, this is how I do it. A lot of people would do it differently. Really enjoy the way I do it when I do it. It has selected all the gray. Let me see if I can at least take off some of these pillars. I think I'm a little bit successful at that. I think I can make do with this, So I'm going to just sum here and turn that off. Once again, I'll give it 34 and then 13 here. So I will come in and come down here. I'm going to desaturate it a little bit so that it retains that gray look. I'm not going to do it too much so that it doesn't look funny. You see, if I do it too much, it starts to look funny. So I'm just going to do it a little bit. Give it a little bit. So let me get into the skin tone. I want to give the skin tone a little bit of blue. Temperature, let me control the temperature a little bit. Look at it. So it's a lot different. So now I need to check the skin tone, right? So the way I check the skin tone is with this tool right here. This tool will help me check that skin tone and be sure that everything is in their rightful place. So the way I do that is I come to this tool right here. I'm going to draw a mask over it. And then we go back to the virtual scope. I think I need to give it a little bit of saturation, and I go back to HSL. I can adjust this later, but I just want to be able to see the reading on the virtual scope. Okay, so once I have achieved that, so what I will now do is I come back to this thing right here, and then I will now begin to, let me see if I can. So that should give me enough accuracy in the skin tones. Now, one thing you need to know about this thing is that there are a ton of ways to achieving the same result, but this is just the way that I prefer to do it. If I wasn't doing the video, I probably would have finished already. So let me take off this mask. So as you can see, it's a little bit too red. I'm starting to look like baked beans. So I'll come to basic. So I'll reduce that saturation. Come to HSL, then I'm going to come to where I did my color a while ago. I will reduce the temperature, and then I'm still going to keep an eye on my waveform. So I bring that down considerably. So let me just lock it there. So it's still a little bit too red for me, so I'm just going to also now come here and still turn on that mask. So I'll come down to curves. I need to use hue versus hue. Click on that eyedropper tool and then pull that down to the yellow axis to balance it out a little bit. Let's look at it again. Yeah, I think that's a little bit better for me, and I can also come back to HSL secondary here, go back to my tab, my Lumetri color tab, the particular one that I used, bring it down some more. The reason I'm doing this is just to give the face a little bit more light. You know, I felt like, let me give it a bit of blue, turn it away from that orange temperature. Yeah, I think I'm happy with that. So this is the before and this is after. I hope I didn't overdo it, right? So let me bring that down some more. Bring this down some more. Yeah. Before, after, before, after, before, after. Another thing I like to do is I go to curves. I give it a bit of, for me, I think I'm happy with the exposure. Let's go to basic. Let's go to this. Let's bring the matrix scopes. I feel like I can do more shadow. Yeah. Yeah, I like the softness of, that's why I give it more contrast, because I don't like, if I pull it all the way here, I don't like that crunchy look that I get. Yeah, I like to soften the image a little bit so it's not hard. I don't like it to be hard. So maybe that's a little bit too much. More shadow. That's too much. So I go into creative tab, a bit of vibrant, just a little bit. Reduce the LUT intensity. So I think I'm pretty happy with what I have right now. So I'm pretty happy with this actually, but the only thing that I would just like to do is I want to see if I can qualify the sky. Maybe I should leave it like that. So this is before and this is after. Before, after. I really don't mind that. Let me go to HSL and give it some more life in the face. HSL, come here, and this middle one here, still would like to give it more light in the face. Because this is what happened when I pull it all the way so that you see what's going on. You see that? That's what happens. It turns it completely light, but I don't want that. That's not me. I could have even qualified the face only because my hands are lighter. I'm naturally like that, so, but I'm fine. I'm fine with this. Okay, so that's good. There are two things I would do, and I'll call it a wrap. Here in Creative, there's something I can apply here, faded film, to give it that faded look. But before I do that, there's another way I do it. I don't like to use the faded film settings here. So first, I would like to give it a vignette. So because it's a bright picture, I want to be able to draw some attention to my face here. I usually would do 0.5, but this is a bright image, so I'll give it much more than 1.5. So that should do some justice to the other sides here. Sometimes I draw a mask on both sides, but for the sake of this video, I'll just do this. And then I increase the midpoint a little bit, and then that's it. Then I come to the last thing I do here, which is the fade effect, faded look. So I use curves to achieve that by just pulling on this edge here. I pull it up, so that will give it a faded look, just a bit of a soft look right there. So as you can see, if you see before the last set of adjustments that I made. So I'm pretty cool with this particular grade that I've done. The C-Log3 for me, it's a go-to log profile. I think I recommend that if you're not using log yet, you should start shooting log like crazy. It's beautiful the way everything renders and the way everything comes out. You know, I like what I see. It's beautiful. If you think that this is something I should continue doing on a live stream, please hit me up in the comment. I am counting on your feedback like crazy, like breath, to let me know if you like this live streaming style. And so let's do it, man. Let's do it. Yeah.